Hey guys, this is Drakkalan bringing another Calibria Crystal Guardians video, and I just wanted to cover a request that was made in Discord. A guy was wanting us to look at his box and kind of go over it and see what kind of C12 team we could come up with for him. That way he's not wasting a bunch of time crafting units he doesn't need right off the bat. He can just jump into rune farming. Specifically, he wanted a C12 or L12 team that could farm those tier of dungeon with scenario runes. Now, I don't have the resources to roll scenario runes right now. I just rolled a bunch of other runes, so I'm kind of low on the mana. So, not going to be able to do that, but at least I could test the units for him. Kind of theory craft some teams, even though my teams that are runed have better than normal runes. Granted, I built the Spider Queen and Medusa from leftover runes. My Lich King is built not to survive the dungeon. He's got very low HP. He's literally just here to pop his passive and keep everybody else up when the boss does his 50%. So we'll go through that a little bit more as the team runs through. So the image I've got pulled up on the screen right now is what the guy shared to us in Discord, and this is for Shikigami. If you guys see him in there, say hey. So he doesn't have a lot of units. He looks like a newer player. A lot of units aren't 6-star or evolved. So I'm glad the player base is building up. It's always nice to see some new blood in here. He's got some pretty nice and key net 5s, right? He's got Medusa, Spider Queen, Selene, Lich King. So those are all going to be useful. You can see he's already building up the Windwalker, so that's perfect too. And that's the kind of the team we're going to run with. And it should, in theory, work. I've run it once already before I made this video, and it worked. I ran a different team with the Golem, and that worked as well. I just don't think the scenario runes are going to be strong enough. But as I said, it should be able to take him into, at a minimum, C10, I would hope. So let's run it through, and I'll kind of break down what each hero is doing. So let's take the image off the screen and get started. So we're already in the dungeon. These teams aren't going to be 100% by any means, but it would be a start. If we needed to make it 100%, we would have to make the Lich King a little bit tankier. Not a lot, because you definitely want him to die, but he needs to be a little bit tankier to make it through the waves. What's happening with my Lich King right now is if they focus him, he'll die on the first wave if Medusa doesn't get enough Petrify, or he'll die on the second wave if he gets focused. And if he dies, his passive goes off, and then he's not there for the boss fight. So he's made it through once out of 3 runs, so it's definitely a low success rate. But you could definitely change his runes up and make him live a little bit longer. You could just build him like speed, HP. Right there, we just lost again because of the wolves. Let's go ahead and end this battle. We'll start it again. And like I said, I don't have the runes to swap around right now. And I don't have the material to build the scenario white runes up just to do this demonstration. So hopefully it'll run a little bit smoother this time. Otherwise I'm going to have to go in and do a little bit of video editing. Not a big deal. Guess while that's going, let's get some music going in the background. Of course my Google pulls up on the wrong screen. Let's see if we can find some non-copyrighted information. So this one seems to be going a little bit better. Click on a random copyright-free.
Looking for the best music for your videos? Then you should check out Artlist.
So far, we're going pretty smooth. So I guess I can go ahead and break down the team a little bit. Right now we've got Medusa in there. Like I said earlier, she's there to petrify and put poisons out. She's going to be the primary DPS. As you can see, she's doing a pretty good job so far to help control the monsters, make sure you make it through the waves, and then help kill the waves. Spider Queen is there. You can build her, usually people use her as a farmer initially, especially on newer accounts. But he's got a Lich King that I assume he's using. So instead of building her that way, we changed her skill 3 to be the passive Dispel. And then her skill 2 is the Binding, just to help kind of control the waves a little bit more. And she should help deal a little bit of damage to build bring the boss down, bring the units down, or bring the wave units down faster. Windwalker, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with her. If you're not and you're new, builder. She's one of the best units in the game. She's a Nat 3. You can get her while farming Black Pools, which is the best farming location. And she is there to haste the team, do a little bit of healing, and just basically make you take more turns so that you can reset all your skills faster. And then Celine, the big bad healer. I say big bad, she's great. She's got a lot of HP, so it's easy to build her out. I've just got her on speed, HP. She's there to keep your team up. She also does an anti-crit buff, so we're going to see if this will work. You'll see what's going to happen too. Right, he's under 50%. Big beam kills everybody. Lich King keeps everybody alive with invincibility. So now it's a matter of time. We have to kill him before the Lich King's passive wears out. He's only got 2 turns of it, so we're down to 1 turn. We need Medusa to get a little bit of poison on the boss, and he should kill himself. Celine and Spider Queen should be able to finish him off even if the others die. So Lich King is down. It'd be really nice if Medusa just got a little bit of poison on him. A little bit of bad RNG right here, even with like 100%. Alright, so he's guaranteed to die now with those 3 dots on, 4 dots. And this shows that this team is definitely capable of working. If you guys were kind of looking for a team that'll run, it's not going to be fast. The last time I ran it successfully, so that's 2 out of 4 runs were successful with a 3-minute run time. The other run that was successful did it in 2:49. So it's not the slowest team by any means, but it's not the safest. So if you go back to your formation, you'll see the Lich King. I've got him all the way to the right on this screen. That way the boss hits him first. The only reason I have Medusa in the captain slot instead of him is because he has a Guild War leader skill, and I want Medusa's hit percentage. So the other team that I worked on for Shikigami is putting the Golem in. Right now, I've got the Golem built out on HP, and if you look at his skills, he's got a leader skill that's HP %, so help keep the team alive, make him a little bit tankier. And then if we look at his S3 Guardian body, when being attacked, generate a shield for all allies equal to 5% of own max HP. As you can see, he's got a pretty large number. He's got almost 68,000, well, I guess a little over 68,000 HP. So 5% of that's what the entire team's going to get every time an AoE attack goes off, or he gets attacked personally. Blade Armor is going to reduce all incoming damage, and he's going to counter attack. And then skill 1 has a chance to stun, and this actually goes off pretty often. Like I said, he's just on an HP. I've got him on conflict runes. I'm trying to build him full conflict just for my lair team, but right now I don't have the full conflict set to do it, so he's kind of 3 different sets on him, and it'll work fine. The skills we're running on Medusa, Petrified Eye, that's just going to basically lock up the units, give you a little bit of safety. Poison, and poison. We're running her speed, HP. These aren't amazing runes by any means. They're not terrible, but they could definitely be better. It's just what I had. My Windwalker, she's on Berserk. So like I said, some of these runes are going to be farmable. These are all 6-star, legendary, or heroic. Some of them are rare. But I believe a team on scenario runes could easily do C10. I'd probably build everybody on agile runes to make up for the lack of Berserk runes. Your Windwalker is going to be on Wind Blessing, 30% energy to all allies and haste. And Gale, 15% HP and 100% of energy to an ally. And then skill 1 you can't change, but it's there to basically slow the target. Move on to Spider Queen, and this is what I was talking about, building her slightly different. Now these are just some really bad runes that I had in my box. They weren't even rolled up. Typically I wouldn't have rolled most of these, but just for the video demonstration I needed to put something on her. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. I would run her on Berserk or Agile. So if you're trying to do scenario runes, do Agile runes. And just do speed, HP, so she can live through the boss and the other waves. We got 25,000 bonus HP. It's not quite enough. It needs to be a little bit more. And her hit percent is really low. So you're going to want to try to get some hit percent substats. Alright, so Exploding Spider, it's just there to deal damage. It ignores defense on occasion. Binding Web is there to make it a little bit safer when you're running against the boss. And this gives you defense break too. When the tower defense breaks your team, she should transfer that to the boss and help you bring him down a little bit faster. This passive is what we really wanted. 70% chance to sleep a target doesn't matter, but it's erasing that buff that does matter, right? The boss is immune to sleep, but we should still be able to erase the buff off of him so he doesn't always have that attack buff on him as long as she gets a turn before he goes. So now that we've swapped it out, we're going to move him into Medusa's slot and see if his shield will keep everybody alive. So let's jump back into the dungeon, see how it goes. like I was saying earlier, the reason I chose this team is these are the units he's got, and they're usable in other areas besides C12. Like Spider Queen, you can use her in an L12 team. Windwalker, you can use pretty much anywhere. I mean, all these units have multiple uses, especially when we start talking about Vapor Dreamland, Arena, Guild Wars, Spire. So we don't have the wolves on this wave 1, but one good thing is if we did have wolves on this wave, they kind of do that multi-hit, and they just hit the golem a lot of times, and his shield will keep everybody up. That defense break's making it a little bit tough, even with his high HP, but the healer is able to keep up, the haste is keeping him up. Medusa hasn't been landing very many petrifies, and her poison's not landing as consistently because we don't have that 41% hit leader skill. So having her as a leader and having the golem stand next to her might be the better option, just to make the team faster. But it's really just him being able to keep everybody alive. And if we can keep Medusa alive, then it increases our chance of taking the boss down. And this team is probably a little bit safer than the other team, because there's the golem putting the shield out obviously makes it safer. The chance for him to stun makes it easier to run through these waves. It's going to be a little bit slower because the Lich King's not there to deal extra damage. At the same time, we'll look at my Lich King skills in a second. I'll show you those. I would change his skill 2 personally if I was running against the boss. One of his alternate skill 2s does damage based off max HP, and that's the one I would be running if I was trying to kill the Colossus. Or you could keep him on his AoE skill just so he can deal more damage to the waves as you run through those. It's kind of personal preference and what your team needs. So, not the fastest run, but should be consistent, I would hope, especially at the C10 level. And the drop rate difference of runes is not high enough to really tell you that you have to run C12, but definitely run it when you can. C10 is how most of us got started, so it's not going to hurt you to spend a few trips there. And as you saw there, the Spider Queen, when she gets focused down, she takes a lot of damage. There's a chance that she could die in this area. So far it hasn't happened. And right there you can see with the Petrify, I took the 2 units, locked them up. You can see the binding web from the Spider Queen locked up the main unit. So, and the reason I'm targeting him is 1, to give us a chance to lock him up more, 2, speed the run up a little bit. You see the poison's the primary damage dealer, so we're just waiting for his turn to go. So if you're trying to run a beginning team, don't run an Enchantress. She's just going to take the energy away and make the runs take longer. Alright, haste from Windwalker. She's on Berserk, so she took multiple turns. Petrify went off with Medusa. She locked up the 2 towers. That takes away your defense break, keeps the boss from getting an attack buff for 1 turn. Shield went off. He's still able to break through the shield. So if you could somehow squeeze an attack breaker in here, that'd be the best thing. If there was an attack breaker, he wouldn't be able to kill the golem or break the shields. And like that's probably the number 1 thing you can get with this boss is an attack breaker. So right now we're just not getting a lot of poisons on him. That hit percent leader skill is kind of missing out. And once he drops to 50%, if you haven't run Colossus before, that's when you see that big beam come out. And if you have defense break, it's going to kill everybody. So hopefully we don't have defense break and our shield will go up from the golem and keep us all alive. Getting some haste and heals. We've got the anti-crit buff. So like right now would be a perfect time for us to take him to 50% if we could before we get a defense buff put on us and before he gets his attack buff put back on him. So he's about to get that attack buff. Hopefully Spider Queen will take a turn and knock it off. We just got hit with defense buff, so this is like worst case scenario right here. If he goes before we can, and you see how we're wearing that defense buff off by just being faster than he is. Here it comes, and killed our primary healer. But that's the biggest damage dealer. I don't think we're going to live through this, because when he hits, he's going to deal damage. He'll probably take out the Windwalker and the Spider Queen. And Windwalker doesn't heal for quite enough. Yeah. I don't think the Golem can solo this, but he might be able to. We'll wait and see. I may edit this video and speed it up if he can. But he's still taking damage through his shield because of that defense break, so I think he's going to lose. Yeah. So we lost that one, but I know these teams can work at C10, and I know they can work at C12. They're just not going to be consistent. So let's go take a look at the Lich King, since I didn't show his skills. Alright, so my Lich King is my farmer, and that's why I've got him on this AoE build. So his skill 3, if you're running him on a team for Colossus or something, you want to have him on Death Will, right? He's going to resurrect. He's not going to attack when he resurrects. But he is going to keep, as long as you have him skilled up, he's got a 100% chance to do it. He will keep the rest of your team alive for, I think it's for 2 turns, right? And haste doesn't hit him, so he's just going to be moving at his normal speed, so you don't want him fast. You just want him to deal as much damage as possible on the waves while surviving to get to the boss, and then when the boss kills him with his 50%, he keeps everybody else alive. And that's his primary duty. This S2, like I said, I've got it on an AoE skill, but you could change it to Thunder, right? And this is going to be a single enemy attack, so you'll clear waves slower, but you'll clear a boss faster. And this does 515% of attack and 15% of target's max HP and damage, so it's going to hit pretty hard when you hit the boss with it.